Meeting to order. I would like to thank tonight's presenters and everyone joining us in person and via live stream. Thank you for being here. Ellen Lagus will lead us in the pledge.
Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All of our board members are in attendance. There will be several addendum items. Written comment, Idaho General Fund Revenue Report, Idaho Student Wellbeing Assessment, and the bid awards. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the addenda.
I hereby move that the board approve the agenda as presented.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passed. Next, Courtney will provide us with February awards and recognitions.
Okay, good evening, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Howe, Ms. Johnson, and student representatives in the audience. Tonight, we will recognize several individuals who, through their actions, support and embody the district's mission to think more, learn more, and be more together. First up, we have our CAKE Awards. So for February 2025, we have our Student Learner of the Month Awards. School District 25 believes a safe, supportive, caring, and respectful environment is critical to student learning. The School District 25 Education Foundation, in partnership with Johnson Family McDonald's, supports the Learner of the Month Award to recognize one elementary learner and one secondary learner from our district from October through May. The CAKE Award celebrates positive character, attitude, kindness, and encouragement toward others. Nominations for the CAKE Award are submitted by a teacher who has observed the nominee's behavior and are approved by the school's principal. CAKE Award, in addition to being recognized here tonight, the CAKE Award recipients receive a gift card for the recipient and their teacher from McDonald's, a $50 donation to purchase books in the recipient's name, both courtesy of Johnson Family McDonald's. So first up, we have our Elementary School Learner of the Month Award nominee, River McGregor, and his teacher, Callie Lopez. Will you please join me at the podium? And you guys can just kind of stand right here over to the side so that the audience and the board members can see you. Thanks, River. Hi, how are you? Good. I'm going to make you come right here so everybody can see you and you're not hiding with me behind the podium. So River is a 5th grader at Gate City Elementary School, and his teacher, Callie, nominated him. And Mrs. Lopez wrote in her nomination letter, River is truly one of the most thoughtful and deep thinkers I have ever met. I learn a lot from my students, just as much and probably even more than I teach them. But I have learned a tremendous amount from River. We often do a tell them why they're awesome day in class. What I mean by that is I randomly pull a name stick for each student, and then they have to write that student a note to tell them why they are awesome. When we are done, they stand up and read aloud to the class and to that student why they are awesome. When River reads his notes about the student I gave him, I have never heard something more beautiful and profound. For example, he wrote to this one classmate, Dear so-and-so, I wish I could put every reason why you're terrific on one sticky note. There are too many reasons, but I can say this. You are truly remarkable. Someone as terrific as you comes once in a lifetime. Thank you. I'm so glad you're in my class. Continue to be awesome, buddy. Who wouldn't want a note like that? I know I would. He goes above and beyond to make his classmates and everyone he meets feel special and seen. We can all learn a lot from River, and I am so thankful I've gotten to be part of his journey this year. His future is so tremendously bright. And River, thank you so much for your example. I have this certificate for you, as well as you'll get your box of goodies outside when you get your picture taken. Thank you so much for the example, and what a wonderful nomination letter. And if you'll say hello and let our board congratulate you.
Thank you so much.
Let's give him one more round of applause. Okay. Next up, we have our Secondary School Learner of the Month, and that goes to Cash Gugelman. And would Cash and his teacher, Mr. Sean Anderson, come up and join me, please? going to stand right here. Good to see you. Okay, Cash is in the 8th grade attending Irving Middle School, and he was nominated by his teacher, Mr. Sean Anderson. And in his nomination letter, Mr. Anderson wrote, Cash consistently demonstrates an exceptional attitude toward learning and a genuine commitment to supporting those around him. Each day this year, he has arrived at school with a positive attitude. His enthusiasm for learning is contagious, and he actively seeks out ways to inspire and uplift his classmates. What truly sets Cash apart is his unwavering kindness and empathy. Whenever a classmate is struggling, he is always the first to step in with encouragement and support. His willingness to go above and beyond to create a classroom where all his classmates can feel welcome and supported is truly amazing. Thank you, Cash, for your contributions, and you have this certificate as well as the goodies waiting outside for you. Thank you so much for everything you do. Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Okay, next up we have our PIES Award. The Employee of the Month PIES Award recognizes our employees who positively influence educational success. The award is for employees who go above and beyond in that effort. PIES Award recipients receive a $50 gift card from Lookout Credit Union, our educational partner for this award, and the person who nominates them also receives $20 courtesy of Lookout. So I'm going to try to get through this, but will Miss Tara Jensen and Miss Shauna Sprague please join me at the podium? Hello. So Tara Jensen is the executive assistant to the director of elementary education. She's also the assistant to the director of student support services. She helps with the safety committee, and there isn't anything that Tara doesn't do in this office. I like everybody who works in this district office is amazing. We couldn't do it without each and every person, but I feel like Tara is the glue that holds us all together and keeps us sane through lots of amazing things that we get to do every day. And she was nominated by Shauna, who's my assistant, who is equally amazing, but we're going to focus on Tara tonight. In her nomination letter, Shauna wrote, I would like to nominate Tara Jensen for the Employee of the Month Award, as she truly embodies the PIES values through her exceptional dedication, hard work, and positive attitude. Tara has worked as the executive assistant to the director of elementary education for nearly 20 years. That is worthy of this award in and of itself. Throughout her service, Tara has consistently demonstrated an unwavering commitment to her role and to the district as a whole. She is without a doubt one of the hardest working and most dedicated employees at the district office. Tara continually goes above and beyond in everything she does, coming in early, staying late, and working through her lunches to ensure that projects are completed on time. And we have seen this over the last few months, day in and day out. Tara's position as the elementary executive assistant is one of the most demanding roles, yet she manages to handle it all with grace and a smile on her face. She is constantly asked to take on additional duties and responsibilities that are outside the scope of her role, and she does so without hesitation. She is always willing to lend a hand, whether it's stepping in to support colleagues or helping with tasks that need to be done to keep things running smoothly. Tara's ability to work with elementary principals, teachers, staff, and families is unparalleled. She is a calm and compassionate presence for parents who come in or call with concerns, providing them with support and reassurance. Her knowledge of how Infinite Campus works is invaluable, I can attest to that, and she consistently demonstrates exceptional problem-solving skills. Beyond her work ethic and expertise, Tara is welcoming and friendly in the front office. She fosters a positive atmosphere in the office, always bringing laughter and joy, even on the busiest of days. Her positive energy is contagious, and she helps maintain a lighthearted yet efficient work environment. In short, Tara is a true asset to the team, and her contributions are immeasurable. There's no one like her, and she truly deserves to be recognized for her tireless efforts and unwavering dedication. Tara, thank you for all you do in this office, and for me personally. You do so much, and we couldn't survive without you. Thank you. Don't leave without this. Yep, they have the amount written.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one more. I'm going to ask Miss Ashley Scher to join me at the podium. So if you remember back in, what month are we in, right? Back in January, we recognized Miss Meg Fleshman from Century. Little did I know, not only did we have one of these awards in our district, we had two. And I'm telling you what, 6 in Idaho, and I think just over 300 throughout the nation. So this is a really, really big deal, and I wanted to invite Ashley here to be celebrated here tonight. And maybe it was a good thing because then they get individual attention that they deserve. So Ashley's joining us tonight because she was awarded the Presidential Award for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching as a presidential award. It is a super big deal. Ashley teaches math at Highland High School, and if I can just put a personal note in, I think that she's the reason my daughter is in her 3rd year of engineering and excelling at calculus because of the instruction that she received at Highland from Miss Scher. Ashley Scher teaches at Highland. She's been selected to receive a Presidential Award for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching. As we learned last month, the PAEMST program administered by the National Science Foundation on behalf of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, recognizes outstanding teachers for their contributions to the teaching and learning of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Each awardee will receive a certificate signed by President Biden and a $10,000 award from NSF. Awardees will also travel to Washington, D.C. for an awards ceremony at a future date. Do we know when that is yet? No? Okay. When asked about the award, Ashley wrote, about 8 to 10 years ago, the district wanted to switch its secondary math program to an integrated task-based curriculum. As teachers, we said we needed professional development in order to implement this new curriculum effectively, and the district listened. Chuck Orr, director of curriculum at the time, brought in the authors of the chosen curriculum, MVP, and we had multiple PD opportunities to learn from them on every single unit for all 3 years as we rolled out the new program. Because of this training, when MVP became more well-known, the authors asked several of the math teachers from our district to work for them and help them facilitate PD workshops around the country. I've been doing this as a side job for the past 6 years, along with other math teachers from this district. Without this experience, I would not have qualified for this award. I'll forever be grateful to Chuck Orr for listening to us math teachers and providing us with the PD we needed, and for the MVP authors who encouraged me and challenged me to learn and grow in my own mathematical identity. What an amazing contribution and asset you are to our learning community. Thank you so much. And that concludes our recognitions for tonight.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the student representative reports. We'll begin with Century High School.
Good evening. My name's Suri Dalamy. I'm the student body president at Century High School. I have lots of exciting news to share with you since the last time we talked. Jess Woodland and Officer Johnson both received the Hometown Hero Award today. So we just are so proud of them, and we love their contributions to our community and our school, and we appreciate them so much. As we approach the end of the term, finals are coming up, and we're preparing our students for that as well. We're pleased to announce that our new class officers and student body representatives have been elected, so they're ready to serve for the next trimester, and you'll get to meet them next meeting as well. Our cheer team has placed in both districts and nationals, and they'll be taking all of their routines to the state competition. Wrestling is gearing up for districts, and our girls basketball team is deep into conference play right now. The boys basketball team has had a really successful season, and we're really excited to see how they finish. And our drama department is preparing for their upcoming musical Big Fish. We're also excited about the current candygrams and valgram sales, which are always a hit with the students and raise a lot of money for our choir program, as well as our freshman class fund. Our debate coach has received the prestigious Diamond Award from the National Speech and Debate Association. He will go to the national tournament in Iowa to accept that award. And today we held our annual talent show. It's always so special to see those kids get up and perform their talents and be supported by their peers. And we recently had Kindness Week, which always brings positivity and inclusivity to our school. So thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Highland High School.
Hello, I'm Breland Rebake, Highland High School School Board Representative. We've been busy recently with activities and athletics. Highland Drama is opening their small cast play, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, tonight and runs through Saturday the 15th. The show starts at 7 p.m. each night, and we have a 1 p.m. matinee on Saturday. Seating is limited to 80 people per performance, so make sure to get your tickets soon. You can get them online at on the website at Highlands. Our band, choir, and orchestra recently, last night, had their combined concert, which went great after a lot of hard work, and that was really fun to play and perform in. Highland Cheer recently won at districts, and they're super excited for state, and they recently competed at nationals in Vegas. They placed first in their division and won grand champions overall, so we're super proud of them. Wow. And then we want to congratulate Highland student Trevor Lindvet, who was selected as a National Merit Scholarship finalist, and congratulations to Ren Wright, who was selected as a candidate for the United States Presidential Scholars Program, and we're super proud of them. And then Highland Student Government's Make-A-Wish fundraiser has begun and is well underway. We've raised $2,000 of our $10,000 goal. We're selling shirts, bracelets, and doing fundraising at games and meets, and we would love if any community members would love to come cheer on Highland and support Make-A-Wish at the games. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now Pocatello High School. I don't see somebody from Pocatello today, so we will move on to Courtney, who will report on communications and community relations and district enrollment marketing campaign
So Highlanders,
for the approval.
cheerleaders took first in 6A.
Okay, it's been a really short time since we gave this report because of the condensed timeline. So not a lot has changed in the communications world, but I'll draw your attention on page 2, a couple of highlights. We broke 1,400 followers on Instagram. We broke 600 followers on subscribers on YouTube. So that's pretty big. That one's increased by about 200 over just the past year. Facebook continues to be our most effective. You can see that we had 280,000 views. That was quite a bit higher. I think last month it was 139,000 views. So that was as a result of some of the live streaming that we did with some of the work sessions and public hearings. We had 64 views, and I think I have a typo. We did not have 4,647 views at the regular January board meeting. So I think that was, there's an extra 7 in there, I think, at the end of that. On page 3, because we had an abbreviated time between the last regular board meeting and today, that top performing post is still the same as it was last month. But then I also included the second one, which was just about the new enrollment area maps that got quite a few visitors once we were able to get those maps completed and published. On page 4, it shows you what this month's attendance campaign graphic is. You'll see that in school newsletters, on all of our reader boards, digital screens, in the entryway, all the website, and on social media as well. On page 5, I wanted to draw your attention to some website updates that we've done. We always have new information that we want our constituents to have easy access to, and we have current initiatives and current projects, and those don't always fill the same criteria, and so we created new pages for each of those. So the current initiatives page, that archived all of the enrollment attendance area process that we did through that initiative, and that's also where we're hosting links to the cell phone committee work. So you'll be able to easily access both of those. And on your PDF, you should be able to link directly to that page so that you can check it out. And then current projects are all the more facilities projects that we have going on right now with Highland, the closeout of the PV Tech and arches, and sort of some process pictures so people can stay up to date on all the process with those projects. And then save the date for May 1st, 2025 for the PV Tech grand opening celebration that was rescheduled from October. And that concludes my communications report. Now we have the action so on your agenda for action this evening is your consideration of approving the enrollment marketing campaign that was presented at the work session last week.
I would entertain a motion on the district enrollment marketing campaign. Is there a motion?
I would hereby move that the board approve the district enrollment marketing campaign proposal and budget as presented.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passed.
Okay,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much. I will keep you updated on the progress of that campaign.
Thank you. And next on the agenda is a public and written comment on topics pertinent to the agenda, and two requests. So we'll start with Dakota Bates.
Good evening, board members, and thank you for the opportunity, and Superintendent Howell, to address you tonight. This is, I think, my 5th time since November that I've had the opportunity to speak to you, and I appreciate every opportunity. I want to make it clear, tonight I'm speaking just for myself. I've spoken for the Washington Elementary Advocate several times, but I just felt strongly about a few things that I wanted to share with you. And I come before you mostly as an advocate for the advocate group. They're a wonderful group, and I'm so blessed to be a part of them. They're just good, regular people who are sacrificing a lot of time about something they really care about. And I also want to advocate for collaboration, and as come before you as a friend of School District 25. Sometimes when you criticize actions of the school district, you are labeled as not a friend of public education. And that's not true in my case, I promise you. And I'm not here to relitigate Washington. I have no interest in doing that. But I do want to share with you what my personal experience was with this process. And I can't think of a better metaphor than what I experienced with the public forum at Pocatello High School. I put a lot of thought into what I shared, and I know many other people did as well. And I was really disappointed to find out afterwards with direct sources that most of you on the stage couldn't hear most of what we said. And I just felt like that was exactly what a lot of this process has felt like, that we're speaking, but no one's listening. And so what I feel more than anything is that the district is more than learners, more than losing learners, you're losing trust. And some of the things that I've noticed that really concern me is it often feels like the public is viewed as an obstacle to the decision that, or whatever the plan is for the district, rather than a partner in the process. And I really feel like the public should be the loudest voice in the room. As you can see, this is probably one of the smallest board meetings we've had in a while. So when a lot of people show up, I think it's a sign to really listen. But it often felt like our voices took a back seat to district staff and to the PEA. The challenges ahead for the district are large, and I think will get worse. We will be bigger than Washington. There's a good chance enrollment will continue to decline. There's increased competition for the district. There's possibly the loss of federal programs. Head Start, I've read about, maybe cut from federal funding. And then obviously we're all watching closely the voucher debate in Boise. So I know I'm out of time. I really want the board to look at opportunities to reestablish trust with the community. And I feel one of the biggest ways you could do that is looking at Aid for Friends, that area that is now in Indian Hills boundary. I also know from my conversation with the county, there's a battered women's shelter, and there's multiple extended stay hotels down there. Aid for Friends is a complicated issue. It's not cut and dry, but I would really like the board to take time and specifically look at that boundary and see if there's a way to maybe address some of the concerns there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trissa Cameron?
Good evening. I'm speaking on behalf of the Washington Elementary Advocates, but I won't be taking 10 minutes. The Washington Elementary Advocates appreciate the trustees' expressed desire for a sincere evaluation of Washington's future. And with a few changes to this committee's proposal, did you all receive the addendum that we added?
Yes, we did.
We look forward to helping shape the future of this valuable neighborhood and district asset. In the interest of maintaining a balanced committee to sincerely study the future of the Washington School Building, the WEA submitted a few changes for your consideration. First, your policy regarding advisory committees indicates the composition of advisory committees shall be broadly represented and shall take into consideration the specific task assigned to the committee. In the name of broad representation and given the assigned task, we respectfully ask that at least 3 of the 12 members be from our diverse advocacy group who have studied the issues since November. In addition, we ask that at least 1 member of the board from the experienced College Neighborhood Association be allowed separate representation. We also suggest, in the name of timeliness, that committee meetings begin in March and that assessments be completed as soon as possible. Lastly, there is one very important task that we would like added to the committee's work plan: review any temporary uses and/or physical changes to the building and site. Again, we appreciate the trustees' previously expressed desire for a sincere evaluation of Washington's future, and with these changes, we look forward to helping shape the future of this valuable neighborhood and district asset. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So next on the agenda is the approval of minutes. I would entertain a motion to approve the January minutes as presented. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board approve the following minutes as presented. Special meeting to review updated proposals from district enrollment and attendance area committees on January 7th. Board work session January 14th. Public hearing regarding district enrollment and attendance area committees on January 15th. Special meeting to review public input on January 17th. And the regular board meeting on January 21st.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Any discussion? As far as discussion, the only thing that I would say is that there were minutes of the entire community forum that were recorded, available for all of us. And I personally was able to hear everyone. So I don't know, and it doesn't matter, I guess, who couldn't hear, but I could hear all of it. So just to be sure that wasn't a waste of our time. It wasn't a waste of my time because I could hear all of it, and I appreciated all of it. And so thank you for all of those who participated. Is there any other
No, I
discussion?
would comment, though, that I did have difficulty hearing, but I read everything. There were excellent notes made, and I made it a point to read all of them.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passed. Next on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda, which includes authorizing the payment of claims, supplemental financial information, human resources, camp requests, and early graduation requests. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I hereby move that the board approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is any discussion?
I did have a question for Jonathan. On the supplemental financial data, so as I'm seeing how it's tracking the, where we are with revenues versus expenditures, and granted, I apologize, probably putting you off guard, but is this about how we track as far as, how last year, how revenues versus expenses? I mean, are we where you would expect us to be?
Yeah, in the.
And I apologize.
No,
Totally putting you on
as
the
a whole,
spot on
yes,
that, but-
yes. The state, the county, they try to fund us, load us there. Literally, that's what I'm working on right now is budget adjustments.
Right.
I anticipate revenue will be down as, we kind of talked with the declining enrollment and average daily attendance. But yes, as a whole, that's kind of how we
Because what I'm seeing is that the revenue is higher than our expenses in the percentages.
Correct.
But
That's
that's
the
what you're
correct
saying,
statement.
we're front-loaded.
We're always front-loaded.
Okay.
Thankfully, we've always had good fiscal policies, so we're good on cash. There's other school districts that I know of specifically that aren't
upside down.
good on. Yeah, they're upside down, and they
Okay.
have to wait for that February 14th payment to pay out some stipends and thankfully we're not.
Okay.
that
And
bad.
there are districts close to us and near our size.
Sure. Yeah,
that
there are all
struggle-
sorts of different.
That struggle, and I
different sides.
appreciate that
But
responsibility.
yes, that's
Okay,
kind of how.
thank you.
How we, through the budget adjustments, which we'll talk about in March, that's when we try to stop the Mississippi River from running, and get a
Sure.
good snapshot of, okay, where we're at with revenues and expenditures.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan. Any, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passed. Next on the agenda are the self-explanatory reports, which includes the Idaho General Fund Revenue Report, Food Service Free and Reduced Meal Eligibility Report, Food Service Outstanding Balance, Professional Development, Head Start, Student Enrollment, and Student Suspension Reports. I would, we'll now move on to Curriculum and Instruction, Student Safety, School Safety and Athletics. So Amy Boy will provide a middle school science textbook adoption committee update.
Good evening. I just have a brief update from the process of middle school science adoption. On January 30th, we had the Curriculum Adoption Committee orientation meeting. That's where we had our first opportunity to meet the 7 parents who are involved, 5 that were selected and the 2 alternates, and to train them just a little bit and orient them to the process. We talked about timeline and responsibilities. We explained Idaho Code, and we explained the role of the advisory team and the adoption committee, and then the role of the board. We gave them the upcoming dates. Our next big date is on February. That sounds like I have a big date coming. Our next big date is February 20th. And that's a big day. Those are the publisher presentations, and from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m., the publishers will be presenting to the adoption committee and the parents. And then February 27th, there will be a follow-up meeting where they have 2 hours to review and discuss, and the 6th, if they need an additional meeting, they'll have that time as well. And on the 27th, they'll receive input from the teachers, which they're always very eager. They're always very eager to hear about that. And then on the 11th, if all goes well, they'll be making a recommendation to the board.
Is that what I spied out front, those boxes?
Yes,
People?
yes. So it was interesting too. We walk a fine line between overwhelming parents with we have 3 platforms that we're looking at: Amplify, TCI, and McGraw-Hill. And Amplify and TCI gave a sample packet of physical materials. All of the parents have access to all of the materials online. 2 of the platforms gave just samples of the physical materials, and 1 of the platforms gave all of the physical materials as samples. So we had little push carts. It was like we were at Costco willing materials out to cars, and we spent some time making sure the parents could access the online platforms with ease, and they didn't have any problems logging on to those platforms. We gave them rubrics, explained. We have more of an educational rubric that's where the audience would be teachers and experts in the field, and ironically, many of our parents are experts in the field, so they'll probably be using the full rubric. But we also have a parent-friendly rubric, and we gave them both of those. We gave them links to the standards and the cross-cutting concepts and the science and engineering practices, so that they could link to those. We looked at data with them and went through the whole process of what drove our decision to switch from siloed science courses, physical science, life science, earth science, to an integrated approach. And so we spent some time explaining what we're looking for in an integrated program. And they were not only engaged, but just asking really thoughtful and meaningful questions, which made me really excited because I like to talk about curriculum. And we also, one of our secondary instructional coaches is a former middle school science teacher, and so she graciously wore another hat and is sort of leading, taking a lead on this. And she spent some time really explaining, the science end of things, those cross-cutting, the phenomenon-driven instruction and why that's important. And then Heidi Baker, who's our instructional technology coach, talked to them about what they should look for in an online platform and what things students and teachers really appreciate in online platforms. So I think that was very beneficial and meaningful to them as well. We ended with some discussion and question time that made me excited for the process. So far, so good. It's going well.
That's awesome.
That concludes my report.
Thank you. Next. Oh, AJ.
Don't let me interrupt. Keep going. You're good.
Nope, I'm not going to interrupt you.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. Just quickly, in your board packet, you have an abstract for the 21st Century Grant application. We were able to submit and complete that grant. It is for our current after-school programs at 4 of our elementary schools. Tyhee, Wilcox, Green Acres, and Tendoy, with the preschool being at Tendoy. The other 3 are actual after-school programs. The grant is just for us to be able to continue with those current programs that we have at those schools. So I just wanted to update you and let you know we submitted it. We hope to hear back in April, and I will let you know what the result of that is. Thank you.
Thank you. So next, Courtney will present the Idaho Student Wellbeing Assessment.
Okay, hello again. So on the agenda for action tonight is the MOU for the Idaho Student Wellbeing Assessment Survey. As presented last week, at last week's work session by Tanya Wilkes, the Idaho State Department of Education and the Idaho State Legislature have adopted and made this survey tool available to school districts in an effort to proactively address student challenges and enhance educational outcomes. This initiative aligns with the state's commitment to upstream prevention, aiming to identify and mitigate issues such as mental health concerns, substance abuse, and chronic absenteeism before they escalate. By aggregating actionable data, the survey empowers schools to develop targeted interventions, ensuring that schools know what is and isn't working in order to use resources efficiently. Moreover, the emphasis on obtaining active parental consent underscores the importance of family involvement in this process, fostering a collaborative approach to student well-being. This comprehensive strategy reflects Idaho's dedication to keeping student voice, the actual experiences and needs of youth, at the center of educational policies and practices. Again, the data is shared in aggregate while still providing valuable insights, and board approval tonight would allow the district to finalize the MOU and begin the parental consent process, which requires 60% consent in order to proceed. The survey questions and MOU are included in your packet for reference, and again, the MOU to proceed is on the agenda for action.
Are there any comments about this? I have comments, but I just wanted to make sure that there was.
Yeah, I just have a question. When, like it says that the parents have to approve it first, what does that look like for a parent?
So I think that's a pretty involved process. We would work with the entity, Communities for Youth, to provide that parental consent, push that out to parents through Infinite Campus messaging, and we cannot move any further in the process until we reach 60% consent from parents.
What's the name of it? Communities for what?
Communities for Youth.
And where is that based?
I believe it's based out
Is
of
it
Boise State
Boise
University.
State? Okay.
Yes.
And so they, go ahead.
Do you think they just get an email explaining the survey and like a link to the
Yes,
survey?
there's a letter that we can revise, and there's a template that we would base that communication off of, and then push that out from a district perspective and probably from the school level too. Sometimes parents are more apt to respond to those consents when they come directly from the school.
I think before I was told that it would show them what the survey looks like. They could.
Yes, they have access to all the questions.
Okay.
Yes.
And the informed consent includes everything, including the risks and benefits, understanding of the elements, alternatives.
Yes.
All of that.
Yes,
So
students,
people-
if parents decline consent, there's an alternate activity that will be provided. And so everybody will have a device, so you won't be able to know who's taking the survey or who's doing an alternate activity.
So it's all privacy. There's a lot.
Yes, it's, and it's
Including the
anonymous.
parents that sign.
Yes.
Because the informed consent is quite a process, and the informed part is pretty involved legally. So I don't know what that informed consent looks like for parents, but I expressed my my disagreement with this last time, and so I won't share everything, but I will share several things that I've learned since then, but also some of the things that were most, to me, egregious. So first of all, I talked to a trauma-trained therapist, and part of the informed consent would be informing the participant about re-traumatization, the risk of re-traumatization, and the fact that when issues are brought up, it can activate memories. It can activate previous trauma that is kind of maybe even forgotten, but it can activate those memories and those traumas. And it can activate a trauma response, including, not limited to, but including disassociation. And I would say that in a classroom setting, there are no trauma-trained counselors. And school counselors, it is unethical for them to handle or deal with trauma, because that's part of the ethics of a school counselor, is that they are not to deal with any trauma, because there are some parameters. You have to you have to be able to go through the full process, and as a school counselor, they're unable to do that. And so when and if any of these traumatic incidences are brought to their mind, and if they are in a trauma response, the teacher would be unable to identify that, and there would be no one in the school that would be capable of handling that, and it's also not an appropriate setting. I learned about the Belmont report, and it just talks about three different things: respect for persons, beneficent, and justice. One of the things, I'm not going to really talk about a lot of these things, but the justice part of it is if it disproportionately affects any certain population, then it is unethical. And this, I believe, would. There are a lot of reasons that I disagree with this, but generally speaking, it isn't the place. School is not the place to bring up traumas, past traumas, and if it is brought up, they have an actual obligation, according to their consent, there has to be a clear benefit to the person doing the study and a clear way to receive help. That's part of the ethical requirements. And there isn't a clear way to receive help. So if a child does go into a trauma response, for one thing, it wouldn't be identified, and there isn't a clear way to receive help because the schools can't provide that way. So there are a lot of reasons, but one of the other reasons is that the first question talks about personal or emotional problem. Only 1 out of the 10 options was a family member, and to me, that when when you're taking a test or when you're doing a survey, you can be learning, and kids are always learning. And they can be learning, oh, these are appropriate people that I should go to. And only one was a family member. And so that's kind of, that bothered me. But the other thing too about it is, I talked to my daughter who has graduated for several years, and I said, what do you think about this? What would you think about being asked about sexual, forced sexual, behaviors upon you, suicide, ideation, attempt, and especially the question, well, actually, I just asked her about all of it. And she just said, in middle school, if these things are brought up in a classroom setting, it starts kids talking, and it starts them spreading rumors, and they're looking around. I said, and my husband, who is a doctor, said, if I wasn't traumatized before the survey, I would be traumatized by the end of it. And one thing I asked her, I said, would that bother you? And she said, oh, I agree. I would be traumatized. And not only would I be traumatized, I would be looking around thinking, so if it's written here, it's happening. And she would be looking around thinking, who is this happening to? And then, of course, middle school and high school, their brains just start going. And anyway, bottom line is, I don't think this is the appropriate place. I don't think that the benefit justifies the risk. And I don't think that there's a clear way for kids to receive help. And I don't think that one of the questions was, do you feel invisible? And, very specific things. And if they say, yes, I feel invisible, even though they're told it's anonymous and nobody knows who's writing this, they're asking for help. And if there is no response to them, why ask? If there is no hope of them receiving any help and they do respond, then why ask? And also, with teachers and counselors as mandatory reporters, if any of these questions were answered in the affirmative, how can they do their job to be a mandatory reporter? Because they don't know where this is coming.
So may I address some of those concerns? So Raina Patterson, and I don't know if Raina wants to come up in case you have any questions for her, shared some of those concerns. And so the survey implements best practices. One of those is the self-administered format and the guaranteeing the anonymity. And those are designed to gather that data on student well-being without causing distress. And what's Megan's last name?
Smith.
Megan Smith shared with us yesterday is just asking the question isn't necessarily, and it does not inherently cause harm to respondents based on the way this is designed. So I just wanted to share that with you, and I don't know if you have anything else to add.
She actually, the questions that you were posing, she has come across quite a bit. And so she has a lot of research on just the questions alone. There's no research to support that asking a question causes a response. And one of the things that she also mentioned was that these things exist in our community, whether or not we're asking the question. So kids come to school with depression and anxiety and have these needs. And so this is a way actually for us to provide support and to be on the preventative end of that instead of on the reactive end.
There's a lot of research that supports re-traumatization, and a lot of research, as I learned from the trauma counselor, therapist that I talked to.
Is that your
There's
sister?
a lot of research that supports, and if you want a name, Francine Shapiro and the Belmont Report. So those are just a couple. And yeah, one of them that I talked to is my sister. One of the people that I talked to, she is working on her doctorate degree right now, so she is deep in research. And so bringing that up, if you want to talk about that, she's actually in the middle of research, and so she knows a lot about informed consent, and she has to, in her research, she has to get informed consent from adults. And part of that informed consent is to let them know that any issue that is brought up could cause traumatization to them. And then she has to also disclose that she will not be offering therapy if that is the case. So it is part of that informed consent is to let them know that, yes, it can cause re-traumatization and it can cause a trauma response.
So I guess my thought, if I can chime in, is that I think we can both find, as they've said, they've got research that backs up the survey as well. So I think there's equal research on both sides. I think the thing that's key here is that it's parental consent. If a parent is concerned, a parent will decline their child's their participation. And I think, you know, if that's something that we aspire to involve our parents, that this is not something we can decide for them. This is we leave this up to the parents to decide.
Well, I have a couple of questions. How long has this survey been operating in Idaho?
I'm not sure of the length, actually.
It's new, relatively new. I believe there are 10 districts right now working through this process.
And I know that a couple of the districts are in their third year of collecting data, and their data is pretty positive. You can find it on the Communities in Action website. So 3 or 4 years.
And as
So
a
it is
reminder
shared.
for the board, this was vetted through the legislature and also through the State Board of Education. So that's how it comes to our locals.
So I didn't
Your
know it was through the legislature as
Yes.
well.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
how was it vetted through the legislature?
I'm not sure of the process, but Boise State would have taken that through them.
Through the, like the
Yeah,
IRB
more than
or
likely through
whatever,
committee.
the,
Yeah, so this is offered
Institutional
through
review.
the State Department of Education as a tool for Idaho school districts to collect this information. And just speaking, you know, anecdotally, Tanya and I sit on the mayor's mental health committee, and we're constantly as adults trying to devise ways to help our kids who, whether it's screen time or depression, and we don't have the data to be able to come up with meaningful, actionable ways to support our community's youth, and this would provide some of that data for those partnerships in our community where it's that upstream prevention that's really important, and that is the ultimate goal.
So I've got another question. I think there are, maybe Doug can help me with this. There are over 100 different school districts in Idaho.
Yeah, about 117, something?
20, yeah,
Yeah, it goes up.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
So
I thought it was under
in
90.
3 years, we have 10 districts have some experience with this, and what are they reporting about their results?
So there's 4 districts that are part of the initiative, which means they want to share their data to show the positive results. The one that we've looked at is Marsing. It's the data that we found most positive and that we kind of would love to replicate here. And that's they targeted anxiety and depression in their schools. That was one of the pieces that students had responded that was an area of need. And so their student results on depression have dropped significantly, and they're just giving the survey year over year. And so anxiety and depression have gone down. Students had reported that they didn't feel comfortable going into school, and so they really targeted that welcoming piece and that school culture and climate. And so I would love to share that data at another point with you and have a conversation about that, but it's really, really positive, and I could send you some of that if you want to look over that.
And Ms. Smith did also reassure us yesterday that if somebody does answer a question that leads to suicide ideation, they are directed to a screen that has 988, or is it 888, on it, and other resources. Also, one of the ways that we can help support this activity when we do administer is to let our staff and parents know when it's going to be happening at that school, let our counselors know so that they haven't had any issues with this, but there are additional things we can do to provide that support.
And you said Marsing
Marcy?
in Owyhee County?
Is it in Hawaii?
I think it is in Owyhee County, yeah.
Okay.
And Boise's also.
Just outside of Boise.
Okay, so my concern again is the setting and the questions and the research that shows that memories can be activated and re-traumatization can occur. So just kind of in a nutshell, it's the setting. So as if a counselor were to recognize a need, that's at a different setting, but they are also not ethically able to address the need. They have to refer. But yeah, the setting, and also the school. The reality is the school actually can't offer the help that is needed for trauma, And a lot of these questions have to do with trauma. And schools don't and can't offer help for trauma. And so it's in a setting where they can't offer the help.
I've got another question. How soon would we need to take action on this? Is there a timeline?
Well, it takes quite a bit of time to get that, to reach that threshold of 60% parental consent. So the sooner that we are able to start that activity, that doesn't even guarantee that we reach that 60% threshold.
So that is on a per school basis or district-wide?
No, it would be administered district-wide if we enter the MOU.
So you would need 60% of parents throughout the entire district?
Yes.
Secondary.
Through 12.
Secondary
6 through 12, yes.
to approve before you can move
But
forward?
the approve from us is tonight.
No, oh yeah, I'm
And then
understanding
beyond
that.
that,
No, I'm,
we're done.
yeah, no, I understand that, but
Get your light.
I did. It's really blinding.
There, Maria.
My understanding, like, there's some really good questions on here that I feel like are really helpful. You know, participation at school and your time on social media, that kind of stuff. I think it could be very helpful, and I really like the parent component. The parents would look at it. I'm wondering, Deanna, if you would be more comfortable if we omitted 31, 32, because my understanding is we could omit.
You can omit sections. You cannot
section.
omit individual questions.
So what's a
what
section?
I
look
don't have
like?
the survey
Oh,
in front
okay.
of me, so.
This survey is,
Overall, I think this would be really helpful.
I don't see sections.
it's
There are
it's the
just
Idaho
numbers.
Student Wellness, the second
There are
supplement.
page numbers, but I don't see sections.
Well, the number's 31 and 32.
I think that Dr. Smith would be willing to work with us to make it customizable. That's one thing she said she did offer. I think it's nice to have comparable data to districts that are going through it, but definitely we can customize it to how you feel is comfortable or best.
Because sections would be, it's confusing because, like, question 9 is, how often, if ever, have you seriously considered suicide in the past 6 months? And then more questions about suicide. But then at the end, it's about, at the end, so it's kind of like intermixed. And then at the end, I guess in 30,
So would you be more comfortable if we omitted a couple of things?
I would, and then, the sexual touch, that kind of sexual intercourse, we would be approving it for 6th grade on up. And so, we have to be sure that parents understand that, sexual touch, sexual intercourse, all these things these subjects are being brought up in their classroom. So, they know. But anyway, I would like it if some of these were omitted, but I would want it to be a situation where anything that is brought up, those situations would be able ethically and I guess with the resources of the school would be able to be dealt with in its full entirety. So if there are situations that it triggers something for a child, that would, but the problem is I guess with the trauma questions especially, I would want that to be able to be resolved for that child because counselors don't bring things up to someone unless they have the opportunity to fully deal with the entire problem. And so, yeah. So I would feel good if a lot of these, if everybody wanted this survey, I would like it if a lot of these questions were taken off, but then you said that communities for youth, so that would be sharing that data, so the parents would also need to know that the data is going to be shared or potentially could be shared.
No, they only will share that with us. They don't even keep the data. It's
Right.
if we want to be part of an initiative, then we could choose to share the data because some of the initiative is to involve communities and parents because this
Right.
is a community issue that we're trying to.
And that would have to be part of the informed consent for the parents.
Yes. And I think just to remember, you're approving just to allow parents to approve,
Yes.
right? So.
Right, this is the only
parents-
approval that comes to the board.
Right, so parents will
So,
still
yes.
approve the question.
So I'd say is it call the question?
Move to a point.
Move to
Yeah.
call the question.
Yeah.
So
So we've already got, is there a motion, second, and we're in discussion, so all those in favor?
We didn't
We
have a
didn't do
motion.
the motion, so I hereby move that the board authorize the administration to complete the MOU with the Communities for the Youth Team for the purpose of participating in the Idaho State Department of Education Student Wellbeing Assessment. Send the survey questions to families and obtain permission for their student to participate.
And just to clarify your motion, you're including the fact that it is shared with the Communities for Youth, the first of your motion?
That's in the MOU.
It's part of the MOU. I mean, and it's information that then it's
So
not
would it, so
personally.
that's part of what you mean, is that it will be shared with the
Well,
communities
they're the ones that are
for-
gonna aggregate the data. They're the ones that do the
They
data
aggregate the data
analysis.
and provide the
We don't have the
insights
staff
based
or the
on
resources
that
to do that.
aggregation.
No, I'm talking about the shared data compiled on their website. That's what I'm talking about. So that's part of your motion.
No student identification. though.
No, not student identification, the data.
Okay.
The data. So that's part of your question. Is that
Yes,
correct?
correct.
Okay. All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. The motion passed.
Ready
to
to
Thank
vote?
you. What was that?
I was wondering if.
No, I didn't
Oh,
vote,
thought
I
you
didn't
said-
vote
thought
because
you
I
said
didn't
aye.
really.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. So I'm
I
sorry.
guess I'll abstain.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No vote? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, the motion passed with the three
You can do that.
the three aye votes. The next topic to consider affirming is to affirm the action on the high school enrollment and attendance area committee proposal. Sue Pettit will provide more information.
So we had an unintended violation of the open meeting law with our committee, and we cured that on Monday of last week. We reheld our committee, declared that we had an unintended violation, and reaffirmed that, or voted that we would like to still present you with option 1A for the high school boundaries, and are requesting either an affirmation of your previous vote or consideration.
I would entertain a motion to consider affirming the action on the high school enrollment and attendance area committee proposal. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that whereas the unintended violation of the Idaho open meeting was cured by the high school enrollment and attendance area committee at a properly noticed meeting, that the board affirm its previous action to adopt option A1 as recommended by the committee.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passed. And then, so next Sue will present the cell phone committee update.
So we met last week, and the committee went through several different policies from different areas around. You have those notes attached to that, and looked at our policy and made some suggestions on how we could incorporate some of the things we liked from other policies, and we will be working on that on March 5th and presenting to you further information.
Thank you. And the minutes are there, so if
Yep.
anybody wants
Yep.
to read that. Let's
And I'm
see.
doing those too, the next bunch.
The athletic schedules and travel.
You have included in your packet the spring athletic schedule and travel, and we're asking for approval for that so that we have to bring it back one at a time for you.
I would entertain a motion to approve the athletic schedules and travel.
I hereby move that the board approve the spring athletic schedules inclusive of travel as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passed. Next on the, thank you. Next on the agenda is Human Resources. Brenda Miner will present the advanced retirement or resignation notification incentive proposal.
Good evening. I'm here tonight just to reiterate that we are coming to you for action for a one-time incentive of $500 to be offered to each certified staff member who submits a letter of retirement or resignation by February 28th. The incentive would be paid out in the employee's March payroll check. This initiative aims to encourage early notice for our certified staff, which will provide the district additional time to effectively plan for staffing needs, especially with the upcoming boundary changes and reassignment of the Washington staff. Any questions?
No.
Okay.
Unless anybody else has any questions, I would entertain a motion to approve the incentive proposal. Is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board approve the advanced retirement / resignation notification incentive proposal as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passed. Next on the agenda is business operations. Jonathan Balls will present Highland High rebuild update, PV Tech update, and the options for the Washington Elementary School ad hoc committee proposal.
Good evening,
And the
board.
bid awards.
And the bid awards, yep. Good evening, board members. We are ready. We're getting, tomorrow is actually, we will have our bids back. 2:30 here in the boardroom. You're more than welcome to come if you'd like. We're gonna set it up in a little table. There's approximately 37, 38 different bid packages that will be opened during that time. They estimate there might be about 40 contractors here coming and going as their bid packages are read. Basically, they'd like to, I'm sure, gather their intel on that competitors there. I'll be kind of watching the faces of Mike and Doyle and Shay because they will need about 2 weeks to make sure all these contractors have that they're licensed and that they have insurance, all their requirements. They're going to look at their number, make sure that their number is within the scope that they have. And it does happen. I'm sure we will have at least a handful that the numbers just aren't to the scope of the project there.
So you're saying they have 2 weeks to pull their bid?
Nope. Once they submit their bid, it's there.
Okay.
It's Bateman Hall that will review all of these bids.
Okay.
And talk to the contractors, make sure they're licensed,
Okay.
make sure they have their public works and so forth. And
For our
so,
special meeting, March the 4th?
March 6th.
Sixth.
Yes, thank you. Yep, we'll go there.
That's
So,
when they'll be approved.
yep, and that's when you'll accept the bids. Bateman Hall will generate a contract for you to approve. It's that GMP, which is the great 3-letter word is guaranteed maximum price. That is the amount that we will pay in there. And we'll know ahead of time because the other one is that I want to kind of redo our memo of how we're going to pay for this. That way the board can see that as well. We'll also have Kent here with Design West. He's going to have some drawings. He's going to have a slide presentation. He's going to leave us with 2 sets, at least 2 sets, one up at Highland and then one here at
And that's on the 6th or tomorrow?
the 6th.
Okay.
That is the 6th. Yep. Tomorrow it will just be literally emails and computers just opening and reading all these numbers. Yeah. So again, by way of timeline, I think we shared a little bit of this. Last meeting, again, we look to start April 1st. We are thinking that we might want to have a groundbreaking ceremony. And so we'll get that date nailed down. And then we'll start April 1st or as soon as the weather permits there. This summer, we'll kick it off with, we are getting a new electrical transformer, for the entire building. And then during that time, they will also remodel the C hall, the biology classrooms to start those science rooms. And then the next summer, we'll look at remodeling the upper B, those science rooms there. And both of those, well, specifically the one in 26, will impact learners because they don't think they can get it done in the amount of summer. So again, we'll have close conversations with Highland administration to minimize that impact the best that we can.
So can I ask you the C building? So that would be during the summer of
This summer.
this summer,
25.
and the C building should be all finished by fall of 2025?
Yeah, that is correct. That is
Wow,
our.
that's great.
Yep. And that's, there are some very, very tight timelines in the bid packages. So if vendors don't think they can meet those, they shouldn't submit that bid there. But then, again, as we talked about, that, again, they're looking at January of 27, opening these classrooms, commons area, the kitchen, the gym, weight room, locker rooms. essentially everything that's south of that auditorium wall. So then the auditorium and the music classrooms around the side, that would be open and finished in the summer of 27.
So everything except for the auditorium
Auditorium and the music classrooms.
and the music classrooms.
Correct, around the edge of that auditorium. And so, and then we'll look to open that in July. July of 27 before school starts. So we'll share more of those dates and we hit those milestones. But that's kind of the update. Update on Highland. Let me update you on one other thing there, that we have submitted that application to the city to vacate, they call it a vacate Bench Road in front of Highland. A preliminary has been approved through engineering, through planning.
Wow.
Tomorrow after work, will go visit. I have to visit 7 households that border that they're on Cheshire, and get their signature to say that they're okay with this. We've had to
Need
pay our
someone to go with you?
pay our fee.
Board member?
Brian, if you'd like
Would
to.
that help?
Yeah, if you'd like to. But we'll be wearing our coats. So that we can easily be
I mean, I'm
identified.
serious. Is it just you?
No,
You-
Brian volunteered to go with me as well, but you're more than welcome. We're kind of some
It's
scruff-looking
your area.
guys.
You want
But,
to indoors?
but, and then it's about 60 days. They will have to have a public hearing. We'll have to go through city council as well. So,
Because how does it affect that street? I guess I can't think of.
so it's just anybody that borders that, it shouldn't.
Yeah.
This should be very easy.
Fences up.
There is
It
a
just
little.
basically cleans it up, so it's
Yeah.
not just this dead end going into a barricade. It-
Well, and that
The
barricade
barricade
will
still
still,
stays.
it still has to stay there.
Right?
But their the fence line, I mean, again, there's not too much we can do there between our property and that fence line. There is an alleyway, a walkway, that will, of course, keep that there, so. And then it just opens up some options there to, for safety, for improvement on the west side of that entrance, so.
So I know, I mean, here in the agenda, it says included in the packet. Or it's supposed to be some, I
So,
assume there wasn't anything supposed to be
No,
included.
and I can, this is just some notes that I had, I could put them in there if you want to.
Well,
but-
it talked about interior and exterior designs.
Oh, and that will be on
from
March
last
Do you
6th.
see that? Oh, yeah,
That'll be, we don't have anything
on March
updated.
6th, we'll have that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, and it should be a couple of days in advance, so you can look at that.
Okay.
So I wanted-
It was a misunderstanding on my part, I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, that could be, because the next time we meet regarding Highland, we will definitely have those.
Great.
Because we have to have that 2-week for Bateman Hall to look at the bids.
Correct, to look at everything.
So I wanted to ask you about the emergency exit onto Olympus. Is that what you were talking about when you said the emergency access, including that? Is that would that be included in this, I guess this
No,
permission,
no,
vacation?
it won't, but that's something that we'll be able to do, that emergency access, and the city's even. at
That's
least-
already part of purchasing the property, right?
Sure,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
because of that,
So
the
it's not
city's
part of the permission.
even hinted to maybe take off those barricades and put something that could be easily moved in the event that we had to.
It's not to Olympus.
Oh, I'm not talking about that
Down
one.
bench?
I'm
Oh,
not talking about
okay.
that one. I'm just talking about the potential emergency exit onto Olympus.
Sure, and that's when we'll have to just work with the city on that one.
Okay, so, and that is not a part of this
That's not part
permission?
of this, no.
Okay.
Even shorter update for PV Tech. Again, there's 3 main tasks. One is, again, we do need to increase the gas size to that building. That's still ongoing and working. There's heat in the building now. Luckily, thankfully, the kitchen isn't in operation yet. But again, we have enough heat there. There is a little bit of electrical work regarding it's not the generator, but it's the the battery backup there that they will have to work, and they'd rather just do it when the students aren't there. So that'll be done in a spring break. And then the gutters, just waiting on a good day for the gutters. So we are just down to a handful of tasks, and then we'll look towards May 1st for the open house.
Great.
So. Okay, now if we can, we'll jump into some bids. This first one I have there is for the school bus. They're on.
Oh, Washington, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Forgive me. Yes, let's
No,
talk.
let's do the Washington first, since if that's okay.
Which one would you like first?
Just the order it was the Washington.
You bet.
order.
Forgive me.
That's
I didn't have.
No, it's okay.
I didn't have
it's
a
okay.
reminder in there, so I jumped. I missed.
I went on to, I just.
It's perfect.
following along, so.
Okay. So again, there's a couple different memos, a couple different things as you've heard this evening. I guess my only comment would just be about the frequency of our meetings. Initially, it was, we went back and forth, so it's still our recommendation for every other month. I just want to make sure that, we have time to do these evaluations. Let me update everybody there that we have. We've started a process. We've sought out one structural engineer. He's going to get a quote for things. We sent that to Mr. Jerry Myers, who's listed in all of our memos. And I got a voicemail from him this afternoon saying that he's contacted 2 or 3 structural engineers as well. So I think we're well underway in that regard. It's just these will take time. And so that was just, I guess that was just a comment of giving us, the committee, enough time to have some substantive, discussion material and, going forward there.
And I would say on the meetings, it says bi-monthly, the draft says that, the suggestion that you had.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean they can't meet earlier than that, if there's more information available.
Sure, of course.
Things like that. But it's just that if it's put into this, then it means that they have to, whether there's information available or not. This, to me, that bi-monthly gives you the flexibility that when there's information,
Correct.
you can meet, but you aren't having to meet just saying there isn't any information yet.
Sure.
Could you clarify that, Renee? Is that, so if it's, I guess my thought is, why do we have to put, I would like to see the meeting or the group meet first, because I think there's a lot of information from different sources that have been, and it may take time to even go through what has, I don't want to spend, 10 hours at
Sure.
the first
No,
meeting
no,
just to
correct.
go over. And so I'm wondering, do you have to stipulate how often it meets, or can that be
No, in fact,
decided?
if you want, you guys can change it to as needed. It just would more be like if you want it to be a routine, regular meeting committee over the next couple of years.
In some ways,
have
I'd like to
some-
have it routine, and then each meeting, you can decide whether or not the next one is
Sure.
necessary. or
What's our
there's-
deadlines? What's our
'cause
timelines?
either way, I don't want to get us locked into only every other month or every week. I think
Can
it
you
needs
just use
to
the word
be.
minimum?
So,
Yeah, at
so you
minimum,
could say- you could
bi-monthly at
say-
minimum, but as needed.
Uh-huh, yeah. That's
Once a month at minimum, but could be more.
The bi-monthly
I don't know.
is
I
every
think it
other
just
month,
depends
right?
on what the group.
Yeah, the bi-monthly is good because you understand from your recommendation how long it takes to get this information together.
And yeah, as Ms. Clark mentioned, I think those first couple of meetings get all of the ideas out there, and say, okay, we're going to evaluate structural. Is there any other avenues that we need to, to go down to see, what options we have for in the future?
So I have a procedural question again then for Renee. So does this have an issue with how we report the notice of these meetings? I mean, does that,
So I think the intent of this ad hoc committee would be a district-based one to where it's an information gathering tool.
so it
It
doesn't
wouldn't
have
be, it
these
wouldn't
open
be
meeting?
recommendations to the board with specific action, so it wouldn't meet that open meeting
Okay.
standard.
Yeah,
Okay.
because last time we talked about that and that we wanted a maximum of 2 board members, so we don't have to notice.
Sure,
Okay.
sure. I assume the other thing that's not on any of the memos, I assume these will be an evening, for all the participants, 5:30 start time. I would assume that. I'm not exactly sure, or if it's during the day, that's fine too.
I think that also could be figured out once the group
Very true,
assembles.
very true.
Renee, maybe you can help me with this question. Should we put somebody in charge of this, so, like Jonathan, so that he will determine, okay, so we have this information and determine when and where it meet with this committee?
And if that is the case, I'd be more than willing to do that, but then it's just, for the committee, we need to be able to function as a committee, so if it's at a time that no one can be there.
Right, or maybe your
That's just
assistant
silly
could,
that we would do that.
kind of get that information as to when people can meet, and maybe.
Sure.
Is there somebody that needs to be kind of in charge of that, so that it's
I would say so. That's
Sure, and I'd be.
probably going to be Jonathan.
More than willing to do that.
Jonathan and, I mean,
Sure.
And if there
obviously
needs to be a
assistant.
co-chair, if that, or.
So you could be the chair of the committee, is that right? Is that? is
Yes,
that- okay.
that's fine.
So I mean, I don't know how this has to be amended or if we need, but I would like to not put as many guardrails until we've had a first meeting.
Sure. I'm,
So do you
I'm
want
okay
it to
with that.
leave it as a draft then? And then we can carry this to the next meeting, or do we want to still, well, okay, so that's an
No,
idea.
I'm just saying that
a
it's the,
suggestion.
let the committee decide how they can meet, when they can meet.
Oh, that's
So
not part
just
of
leave
this
the proposal for the timeline of the meetings kind of flexible for now.
Yeah.
Just approve the formation of the committee with a
Correct.
flexible
The
timeline.
committee can.
So the
move forward.
meetings can just say a flexible,
Ad hoc.
Right, like
flexible,
as needed.
as
As
needed? Okay.
yeah. And I think it was even the comment to start that first part of March, even that second week is what I'm looking at. I know we have starting a work session, but that gives me time to finish with all the budget adjustments that I'm, working on and so forth.
And then we have that meeting for Highland.
Yeah, meeting on the 6th, and so
yeah, I
maybe
think
that second week,
Third week,
Mhm.
somewhere in there.
before spring
And
break
so that it
there.
would be the following work session that you would give us an update. There'd be, I guess, April, because that would probably barely miss
Sure.
the work session.
And or
Okay.
sometime that week, the first part of March would be great.
That'd be great.
I would like to see Washington WEA have at least 2 on there.
I think-
that would
I
be
think
And that's,
Okay.
yes, for 3.
That would be, I think 2 would be nice as well.
They do also have Jerry, right?
Right, Jerry, and there's also the other person
I'm okay with 2 or
from-
3.
Yeah, I think 2 would be good because of the College Neighborhood Association is also on there, which
we-
a little bit overlaps.
Is that the PEA?
Nope,
that's
at the
ours.
bottom,
Spoke to
the
Ledge.
College Neighborhood Association representative. So we have that one, and then you have Jerry Myers, and then 2 Washington, so that's 4 from that Washington neighborhood.
Sure. And I'm
Representatives.
kind of indifferent to there. For my big thing, it was just the size of the overall committee. But I still think that's 12, 13, that's still a good that where you can get a lot of good representation, but yet not talk over each other and not be so large.
Yeah, so you think the 3 is fine? Or would you?
All right, I'll default to what the board would like there.
I mean, I think until we've met, and, I mean, I know that this group has met regularly, and different people have done bring different things to the table, and so I think it's important that we hear all of that.
Sure.
Who knows, maybe they don't all want to participate, but I mean, what do you have, 6, 9 members of your group? You have 12. I mean, obviously, that's large, but,
Sure.
That's about the size of the entire committee.
right.
Sure.
So,
But I mean, if they're suggesting 3, I would imagine that's because they've identified 3 people that would be able to come with legitimate information. And not that it's not legitimate, but
Sure,
more
sure.
than, you know,
To
they
we need a
can
good
represent the group.
representation. for
Right.
Sure. we need-
3.
I'm okay with 3.
I'm okay with
That's fine.
Plus a college.
As long as that sounds like a good good for you.
I mean, if that's what the board recommends, or thinks, that, yeah, I'm okay with that.
But is that what you would recommend?
He's deferring to the
Sure,
board.
I'm deferring to the board.
okay. All right,
I mean, I've
so can we
kind of
just-
spoke my mind on what is important to me there.
So-
But the representation, whatever we feel the board,
Okay.
we can.
Are there any other things in the addendum from the Washington Advocate Committee that anybody would want to discuss or that would be opposed to adding? Or can we just add all of it that they propose to be added, the changes? Or is there anything that anybody?
We could just make a motion that we could accept this with the addendum to change the semi-monthly to as needed.
Well, they had several different things that they requested.
Right.
They
All of
requested
these that are underlined.
3 advocates, factored costs, including, well, I mean, the needs of the vulnerable population, they just, I guess, specified including equitable education access for lower income and ethnic, which is included in that vulnerable populations. But I'd be fine with adding that, and then the review of any temporary, I guess the other main thing is the review of any temporary uses and/or physical changes to the building.
And I think, that first
think all
meeting,
of
we
this-
can
yeah.
go through that and establish the goals, the purpose of the committee, but we wanted the board to make sure that was
Right.
within the.
I think what I'm,
guidelines that
I
we'd
think
like.
we both groups, I mean, this is exactly what we needed to have done. This kind of deep dive on some of these things. And so I am appreciative that I think we are coming to the table in a collaborative way to really dig into things the way it needed to be done. And if the ultimate, we come back to the decision that what we've done and at least the shuttering of Washington now, and maybe it gives us the opportunity, I mean, we now have done our due diligence. So I think our common goals, whether they're specified here, because who knows, we may come up with additional goals or some that don't. I think it's too early to be this specific maybe, and we meet first and come up with those goals together. Is where I think it needs to happen.
So I think the goals are pretty clear, and so,
Sure.
Yeah.
it's
At least
it's
it's a good
information
starting point.
It's a
gathering.
good starting point,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think Jim has made the motion, yeah?
I
Oh, did you? I thought he did.
Well, I
So
just
is
have
there
a question.
Saying we could.
Is there a motion to approve this committee makeup as presented, including the recommended additions by the Washington Elementary Advocates?
Well, I've just got a question here because the Washington Ad Hoc Committee proposal was just posted late, and I just had a
Yeah.
chance to see it now. So then, I guess, the original proposal was to meet bi-monthly, so every other month, right? And the new proposal is to meet semi-monthly, which would be
No, the
twice a
new
month.
proposal is ad hoc, as needed,
Oh, okay, so
not be
then,
specific until it's met.
Well, I guess I should have specified
Well, okay,
that
that's
in
why-
the
The
motion. I'm
flexible
sorry, I
Yeah.
will, and then I'll add that we don't minus that.
well, let me
So-
refine my question
Okay,
then.
sorry.
So then what we're considering is the ad hoc committee proposal with that one change, that
Yes.
instead of saying semi-monthly, everything else that is yellow and underlined is what we're going to be taking an action on, am I correct?
And also beginning mid-March instead of early March, because Jonathan
We can
mentioned
just
that
look at this, everybody's schedules,
just
you
the-
bet.
because of the scheduling.
Second week of March is early March.
Sure, it is.
So
Yeah, you're
anyway,
right.
so is there a motion to approve the committee?
Well, I
Oh,
just
I'm
want to
sorry.
make sure I understand, right? Okay, so then basically we're taking action on the ad hoc committee proposal from WEA with the changes that it would be beginning in mid-March, and it would be, and that we're not setting a meeting as semi-monthly or anything like that. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good, all right.
Do you want that to be your motion? Is there a motion?
Yeah, sure, I will make the motion.
So you don't
Whoops.
have to repeat it all again?
Go for it.
Yeah.
I thought Mr. Facer had started one, but
That's
if
what I
he
thought,
hasn't,
too.
then you go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No,
What
he
do you
said
have,
he
Ms.
said he
Johnson?
didn't, but.
Okay.
I
so
didn't have
just-
any sort of a
okay,
motion, yeah, I
just
just
enough
had
that
questions.
you
I
got
don't-
It was, mine was a question. Is that how we can make the motion?
Yeah.
But I can do that if you want, or if you.
No, go right ahead, Jim.
Okay, well, I'll probably mess this up really good. I'm good at it. I just will go ahead and make a motion that the board approve the formation of an option for the Washington Elementary school building ad hoc committee as underlined in the enclosed memorandum as they presented it, with the addition of changing the start time to the mid-March and meetings as needed. Is that?
And then are you okay with the other changes that they
Yes, with the
suggested?
changes that they
With the
did.
changes?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I think we had that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passed.
Okay.
Next on the agenda is, oh, I'm sorry.
Bids.
Bids next.
I'm
Yes,
sorry.
okay. Yes, thank you. Sorry, I missed over that. I didn't have that in my binder there. Got that memo there. So again, we have 3 bids that were previously opened for the board to consider and to approve this evening. One is the school bus bid. So we sent, we had bids open for 2 77-passenger conventional buses and 3 54-passenger special needs bus with a wheelchair lift. And so we sent that to 3 vendors, the 3 different types of buses that we have, International, Thomas, and Bluebird. And so you can see who we're recommending there in yellow. I will comment that, again, we're asking to, at least with the 2 77-passenger bus, to not approve the low bid. And I'm asking to basically spend about $5,292 in addition, and that's because for timing. So I pulled, this is from last year, where it was actually Bryson that Bluebird buses that were the low bid for conventional, and then the 3 special needs bus was from Western Mountain, and those Western Mountain buses are this year. What we're learning from their experience, despite of what they say in the bid documents, it's about a 2-year wait time. Yeah. So the 3 buses that you approved last January, we should get those in. And they're saying right now in November, almost 21 months later, and we think it'll probably push that through. So because of that, I don't want to put all 3 plus 5, 8 buses into one company. And so for $5,300, we'd like, plus with transportation as well, award these 2 buses to Rush Truck Center for some international buses. And then just because of the pricing, that we still go with Western Mountain Bus Sales for our 3 54-passenger school buses.
I have a question about busing.
Yes.
I got an email about, smaller sized vehicles, for busing, and I guess it would be like PV Tech, and is there a need? It just mentioned cost savings instead of these really large buses. Is there a need for out, pretty far out, or maybe is there situations where we could save money with a smaller size vehicle in the fleet to be able to be used?
So there sometime is, you mentioned PV Tech, in some of our competitions with our CTE programs, they do actually rent these vans, passenger vans. That being said, for insurance, it's hands down, they always say our students and staff are safest in yellow buses.
Oh.
That they are designed and built, and that comes with a cost. But they are always most safe in a yellow bus.
Oh,
And
okay,
so that's
it has
what.
more to do with safety.
Correct.
Oh,
correct.
I see. Okay.
So does this mean we're putting out of service some buses, or are these just additional buses?
So we will, and that's that middle column, that trade-in allowance. So yes, we will, once we get the 3 that you approved last year, they have a trade-in amount that they
Not
put in
much.
there.
3.
No, yes,
Well,
not very
isn't
much. And
there-
last year it was 4,500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Actually, I even take that back. Yeah, 11,000 is what they said last time. So
Doesn't the state give us a benefit from trading them in after a certain amount of time?
Not for trading in them, but we do get reimbursed by the state for its, through depreciation. We get reimbursed 85% over 12 years.
And so at the end of 12 years?
And out of 12 years, yeah.
That's when.
That's
that's
typically
you'd
when
like
we
to-
evaluate to see, okay, is this still a good bus? I mean, we're not getting any reimbursement from the state on that, but, and so that's where, with the mechanics and our coordinator, they identify which buses. Sometimes we do get a lemon that it's just, it's a fairly, I mean, it's still 10, 12, 15 years old. But it's just, the maintenance on it is quite, just like our regular cars, some of them are sometimes a little bit more well-built. And so that's one that they would trade in, sooner than, some of the other ones.
But these are for new. These ones we're bidding on are brand new.
Yes, oh yeah, 1,000, yes. Yeah, these would be brand-new buses. It's those trade-ins. Those are the ones that we would actually, so in front of you tonight, we would trade in the five buses once we receive the new ones.
Any other questions on buses? Okay, so
Okay.
go,
You're
say
good?
the next.
The next,
Electrical ones in there, I see.
yeah, and we can talk about that, for sure. Okay, the next one is the HVAC at Indian Hills. We opened bids. There were 6 vendors that were invited to bid, and we received the one bid back. So this is in that HVAC. There was 36 heat pumps and 3 rooftop units, and then some, connection pipe and so forth. We received the one bid from Mechanical Solutions for $334,200, and this is below our bid amount by about $46,000, and so it's there for action that we award the bid to Mechanical Solutions. I failed to mention even before, so again, these buses did come in a little bit lower as well, about $82,000 for the buses. And so as you've been on the board, some of you have, sometimes we kind of, we take wins when we can get them, because there will be some bids that will come and I'm going to say, sorry, we were over budget on that. And this is kind of where we go back and forth on the bids. The second one is actually not in our capital improvement plan, but it's a bid that we do every 5 years, and it's for our wide area network, and that's our WAN. So basically, this is our connectivity between the schools. This is where we can pick up a phone and I can talk to Green Acres principal. Again, that's that WAN service there. And so you can kind of see we got bids, and we're talking about gigs per second, gigabits per second, 10 to each school, 100 to both our 2 hubs, which are the district office and our ITB building. And so this is the total amount before E-rate. And as a reminder, that E-rate this year, we enjoy, it's a 70% E-rate, so that means we get 70% off, and then we pay 30%.
So this is the 100%.
This is the 100%.
I mean, does that concern you that there's such a big difference?
Not too much, because the one that we were awarding the bid there, the existing one. And so, as we read through the bids. Correct, yeah, everything was in place there, and that's what they had there. And so, again, it's a recommendation that, again, the board approve our WAN service to Direct Communications from Rockland, Idaho. And then our Kevin Chatfield, our IT coordinator, he works with E-rate, and it's all based on our free and reduced lunch and so forth. And so, and obviously it's a federal program administered through the FCC, and so we're obviously to Washington as well. But as what we know, these are still coming. This is what the E-rate is, what schools and libraries use to get our wide area network and our internet service.
I hereby move that the board award the following bids as presented.
Is there,
I'll second.
any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passed. Next on the agenda is the superintendent's report by Superintendent Howell, board calendar and legislative update.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. I'll touch briefly on a few things in your calendar. Tomorrow, we're showing a student discipline hearing. We were able to work that in earlier today, so pull that off your schedules. And then local issues, if you're interested, that's the committee presented by the Chamber of Commerce and meets Friday morning. So if you're interested, RSVP Renee. We do have our Day on the Hill 2 days, kind of, but it's a Day on the Hill on Monday and Tuesday. And on that Monday evening, we have dinner scheduled with our local delegation of legislators. And so the invite is there for you. And then coming up, Middle School Science Adoption Committee meeting, and that's Mrs. Judy and Mr. Knopf. You've got a couple of those throughout the month, as Mrs. Bowie referenced earlier in the meeting. Then on the 26th of February, we're planning for key communicators, and then the placeholder for student discipline hearings as we try to schedule those for you every couple of weeks, and just follow along with our DDRC recommendations as those come forward. District Curriculum Committee will be on the 27th. I think Ms. Clark made mention that if she can make it, she will,
Yeah,
and if
I need
not.
to withdraw from that committee because given the time, I can't, I'm at work.
Okay, so I don't know if we'll pull that
So
back.
Megan, you're the other one on that committee, right? Yeah. So does anybody else want to be on that committee? It's Thursday mornings.
At 8 a.m.
Because I can do that. I was only able to attend a few, but I love the ones I attended. So I'd be happy to, unless somebody else would like to have the opportunity. Ray or Jen?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take that spot. then.
Okay, thank you. Then Cell Phone Policy Committee, what?
Sorry, just when, this might not be the right time for me to ask this, but when we're talking about committees, we didn't talk about who's going to that first Washington meeting.
Oh, we do need to.
Maybe we have to
discuss
talk about that
Well,
another
you
time,
two,
but-
you two offered first, and
Jim and
but-
Jim and I
well,
were
at
on
the
it.
first meeting when you suggested the committee, it was you and Megan, but it can be any. Who wants to go to the first one?
I think at the work
happy to-
session, it was Heather and Jim that had volunteered, and
So Heather and Jim.
I think I had Megan as backup.
That's my memory also.
All right,
Okay.
perfect. Thank you.
And I'd be glad to do that.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry.
great. No, I just saw you. Yeah. What else have we got going on here? Yeah, so Cell Phone Committee meeting, those are scheduled for March, and I think also April if needed, depending on how far the committee gets with that information, and we may pull it in sooner. And then you can see the special meeting on the 6th for the review of Highland High School plans and bids, and then the middle school science textbook adoption committee again. And then that takes us to board work session out on the 11th. Again, student discipline hearings is a placeholder. Local issue pops up on March 14th, and then regular board meeting out on the 18th. And that takes us out over a month. So you can continue to look at the rest of those meetings as they're published there. My other item for tonight, I'm going to draw from the capital notes attachment that is in the board agenda. And then you've all likely already seen this in your email earlier in the week. I think Quinn tries to get that out either on Fridays or Mondays. And so first up are the school voucher bills. And as you're well aware, there are 3 of those already underway, 2 of them in the House, 1 on the side of the Senate. The one in the House was in committee very early. It went to the floor within 2 days and was voted on, House Bill 93. And you can see the outcome of those results. It was 42 to 28. The committee was a little bit closer. It was actually an 8-7 vote. And so we weren't quite sure it was going to get out of Rev and Tax Committee, but it did. And again, went straight away to the floor with a passing recommendation. And so it will go to the Senate side. I believe it's going through Rev and Tax Committee on the Senate side now. So we'll
Interesting.
watch.
Ours were split.
Yes,
2 and
they
2.
were.
Yeah.
They were split, our 2 representatives. So on the Senate side, Senator Guthrie wrote a nice narrative, and
Yeah, he
it was
did.
titled "Nothing to See Here." and he was opposing anything that comes through on the Senate side for vouchers, as well as Senator Ruchte has been very, very supportive of public education and not supporting private. So we've got some good friends on that side for sure. I wanted to also just mention for you, there are a couple more that are published in the capital notes, but 3 just came through yesterday on the Senate side out of Senate Ed. And one of them is actually lifetime certification. This is presented by Senator Den Hartog, and she is proposing that anyone with 25 years of experience, whether it's teaching or administrative, that they would have lifetime certification and not have to recertify every 5 years. And so that was an interesting one. The career ladder, as you will probably recall, that $6,359 that they put into the support units, but it was never put into the statute. And so there's always been a little bit of controversy every year. Is it going to come back? Is it going to come back? So actually on the Senate side, they are proposing that that be placed in the statute for last year and this year. And so then all the support units would be based off of that greater amount, and there doesn't have to be any speculation about whether it will or will not be funded. So that's a really good thing. And then Senate Bill 1094, supplemental levies. Typically, they could be ran for 1 to 2 years, and there was a proposal last year even, but it's back and up to 6 years for a supplemental levy. And you may recall last year, there were some conditions that had to be met on how many years it had to pass previously. And so those conditions do not appear on this bill as I read it anyway. I asked Jonathan to take a review of it, and he didn't see anything either. So possibly up to 6 years on supplemental levy. So those are the ones I just wanted to highlight for you this evening, Madam Chair and board members.
Thank you. Is there any other items of discussion? That concludes this meeting. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I hereby move that the board adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.